Hey, everybody. Happy Friday, and welcome to our podcast for the love of dog. I'm PJ here with Christine, and we have a very special guest in our studio, Spencer Cassidy, and he has a special guest in his, in his studio. Hey, Spencer, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Christine and PJ. Excited to be here.
So, Spencer is the founder of LifeLegacy, where you can create a will. And I think that you started that with your brothers. Is that correct?
Yeah, so two of my brothers are my founders, keeping it in the family. But we founded Life Legacy back in 2020, really to make leaving a legacy easy and unlocking more planned gifts for nonprofits.
Spencer's one of my favorite people in the whole world. He's great. He does a lot for us. But you have a very special story why you started Life Legacy. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, the company spurred from personal tragedy. When I was 16, I actually lost my father to brain tumors. Fortunately, my father was a planner, will, life insurance, trust, all set in place. Not only did that give us a blueprint in terms of how to move forward, but it was also a plan that had protected us. And what I noticed from that situation, obviously, that's one of the hardest moments to go through as a teenager or at any point in your life. But what I noticed was my dad's story was a rarity. Creating an estate plan, when I went and spoke at different group events or other folks who may have lost their parents, that story wasn't common. Most folks didn't have a plan in place, and a moment of so much tragic turmoil in your life being spun upside down, not having a plan adds to that. So, my brothers and I, we always used to say, how do we make estate planning affordable, accessible, and quite frankly, straightforward? This is something that tends to be daunting and scary to do. That was in 2007. We probably had no idea what we were talking about. Fast forward to 2020, we said, let's launch this. And one thing that we always kept in mind was my father had left planned gifts in his estate plan. And we wanted to make sure that when we created this estate planning company, that it was philanthropic forward. So we made leaving a legacy extra easy, and part of that component of estate planning. It gives you that life beyond. And I joke around and tell people I've created a company that allows you to live forever. I mean, we're not, some sort of healthcare that's actually keeping you alive, but we can keep your legacy alive forever.
That's great. That's awesome. I mean, it's a very sad what you went through, but I think you're absolutely right. I think a lot of people don't even think about it, especially younger people, and you just never know what's going to happen. So, thank you for creating it. So tell people why it's important. You kind of alluded to it, but why is it important to create a will, and how do you do that through your program?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, 70% of Americans don't have an estate plan. That's an alarming number. And a lot of that boils down to what I previously said with affordability, accessibility, and just how do I do this? And, to be honest with you, all three of us, we didn't wake up this morning going, oh, I just want to create a will. That's not how we're hardwired. It's just the nature of how we are as humans. We don't want to think about death. One of the big things here is making that simple, making these plans evolve with your life. It's a planning document. It maps things out so you can protect your loved ones and the causes you care about most, and you can feel secure in your life about that. We try and streamline this. So, in terms of how people can do this, we work with thousands of nonprofit organizations who license our tools, just like the Little Red Dog, where donors can come through, they can protect their loved ones and the causes they care about most for free. It takes less than 20 minutes to go through and create an estate plan. We also work with other companies that offer this. So we put hundreds of thousands of folks through our tools. We've done hundreds of millions of dollars in planned gifts, and it takes all of a matter of 20 minutes to map out one of, if not the most important document for your life.
Yeah, I think that's the big part of it, because you said it's daunting. You don't want to think about it anyway, and then it seems hard to do. So this tool is very easy, and I'll tell you, just from a business standpoint, there are other companies out there that will help you create that. I think some of them are for free as well. But just as a business partner, you've made it easy for us and affordable for us, because we're a smaller nonprofit. We wanted to offer this to our base, but sometimes it's just outrageous for, other companies are outrageous. So that's another thing I really appreciated about Life Legacy. And again, you've just been a really good partner. And one thing, I want people to know, of course, we hope that you want to leave Little Red Dog in your legacy, but you do not have to do that. If you want, I would prefer you just to create a will to take care of your
Yeah.
loved ones. You don't have to do that. It's still free. So I still encourage people to go do it. If you're not thinking about leaving us anything, that's fine. Just make sure you do it because
And pet guardianship. Pet guardianship. We don't want your fur children ending up in a shelter if there's no one who is willing to take your animal, or you haven't spoken about who you would want, to get your dogs or your cat. This is really important. The estate plan goes beyond just what you may think of as your family or your loved ones and those causes. Take into consideration your pets as well. So if you're adopting an animal, if you already have animals, that is a really important next step, just as if you were to have a child or purchase a house. And one thing I wanted to key in on too was estate planning is agnostic to everyone. It doesn't matter your age, wealth, or health. Estate planning is for everyone. So whether you have $1 or $100 million, whether you have one child or 10 children, or you rent or you have 5 homes, it fits for everyone. The first thing to start off and do is make sure you have a will. That's the easiest thing to take care of. And beyond that, when you're thinking about personal protection, having an advanced healthcare directive, having a financial power of attorney, which your organization provides through our license. Now, they don't generate gifts, but that is you showing that good faith of, we want to make sure you are protecting your everyday.
exactly. I think Christine and I talked about that. I think Christine, just recently you had to change your person who might take your animals, right?
Hmm.
If something happened to you. And I think that that's, something people don't think about. And I can tell you this, I don't know how many, but we have rescued so many dogs from the shelter because, somebody passed away and the family
Yep.
didn't want the dog and it ended up in the shelter. Even if they thought that so and so was going to take the dog, that doesn't always happen. So I think it's really important to make sure your
Yeah.
pets are taken care of.
Have that plan in place and communicate it too. Equally as important as having it put into the document, make sure you're communicating that through and through.
Yeah, I think, like we talked about, I think people are hindered by doing this because people are afraid of death, but I can imagine the peace of mind that they must have after they do create their will, because then they don't have to think about it. They don't have to worry about it. They don't have to wonder, other than updating things that might need to be updated along the way. And I imagine that's very easy to do. Like we talked about with the pet guardianship for our rescue, that's one thing that we really talk to people about, even during our interview process, is to have a plan in case something happens. And I think this is an excellent way not only to take care of your family, your personal belongings, but also your animals, which are also family. I guess one question I wanted to ask Spencer is like, what's one common misconception that you think keeps people from even thinking about creating a will?
The ones that jump out are, I'm too young, or
Mm,
I don't have any money. It's kind of like to my earlier point where I
yeah.
said this is agnostic of age, wealth, and health. A lot of times people don't think that they have enough in life, but that's untrue. Especially once we turn 18, we are adults. We are making our own decision. We all have things that we care about, whether that's a Pokemon card, all the way to, like I said, a house, children. So there is a common misconception with that age and wealth that we've been bridging that gap really well. And I think to, your point, this can come off as like a daunting task or something that we put off because we don't want to think about death. But there's almost this liberating feeling when you do go through and complete your will. You're addressing that elephant in the room. And so often do we get reviews or people who email or chat into our support that say, it was actually a fun experience, or an experience where they said, it wasn't what I made it out to be. And now they have this burden lifted off their shoulders because they can breathe knowing I have my tomorrow protected. And everything else that comes in now is just a cherry on top, those little edits or the way that they evolve a plan with them. So it's a beautiful thing once you unlock that blocker of just doing it.
Just do it.
Yeah,
Sorry,
just do it.
Christine. Mhm.
Well, I was just going to say, you hear about so many families that have like these disagreements, after someone passes, and this takes care of all that. They don't have to worry about it. It's written out. And I'm also assuming, people, if they have multiple charities that they want to put in their will, you can do that as well. It doesn't have to just be one organization.
We oftentimes see that, usually 2 to 3 charities if somebody's creating a plan. If they leave it to one, there's usually another 1 or 2 that they factor in. So it's really nice to see that. Like I said, we've done hundreds of millions of dollars in pledge plan gifts in just the last few months alone. And that's growing. And, I know this month is Make a Will month, and I see it up on our screen with, your promo. And this is a great time for us to remind ourselves and check in with our loved ones to say, do you have a plan in place? And here's the things that you can do to make sure you get a plan in place.
And just because it's Make a Will month in August, that is Make a Will month, doesn't mean you have to make a will in August, right? You can pretty much do it any time of the year.
This is something that you can visit at any time that you're ready. Make a Will Month and National Estate Planning Awareness Week, which happens in October, are just those tentpole event reminders, to be in the forefront for folks to say, hey, again, this is a good time for estate planning if you haven't thought of it. But to your point, PJ, there's no right or wrong time to create an estate plan. Just getting ahead of it before a major life moment, or, where you're going, I wish I had that in place, occurs, because nobody wants to be caught in that type of situation.
Maybe you could just touch on people that don't understand what happens to their property, their funding, their savings, if they don't have a will
Yeah.
in place.
Yeah, I think a lot of us always complain about taxes or where money's going or who's taking what. If you don't have a plan in place, you pass away or you pass intestate. So it's going to go through probate court, and the state will decide what is best. So who is going to get those funds? Typically it's next of kin. In this situation, when we're looking at it from a philanthropic lens, if you were supporting the little red dog and you were giving to them regularly per year and you pass away without a plan in place, state probate isn't going, let's give a little bit to the little red dog and then we'll give the rest to the next of kin. That does not happen. So the biggest loser actually in this situation is the nonprofits or the causes that you may care about most. In addition, you may want to divide money in a different way to your loved ones. So you are not getting the final say. It is not your wishes. It's what the state just feels like is best and what's cleanest. And that typically doesn't align with maybe your values or how you would have done things. So really important, but kind of keying back in, if you have a cause that you're really passionate about, they will be the biggest loser because the state isn't going to direct it to that nonprofit.
From what I understand, probate court takes a very long time as well. So it's nothing you really
It
want to go
does.
through.
It does, and especially when there's no plan. Christine brought this up. A lot of folks will go back and forth on, well, I think I warrant this, or I think I deserve that, or this piece of material item should be mine, and that can drag things out. And I think the average is like 10% of your estate goes to fees when it goes through probate court. And that's like the minimum threshold. It can go far beyond that if there's a lot of turmoil or fighting in terms of who gets what. You're naturally just looking at chunking off a large sum of money that would far exceed what it would cost to do an estate plan with a local estate planning attorney, or far exceed having a free opportunity to create an estate plan through an organization like yours.
No, I think that makes a lot of sense. And hopefully that people will take that and see that it's not that daunting and go forward with it. And I will say, again, you don't have to leave anything a legacy to Little Red Dog, but if you do have animals that you don't have anybody to take your animals, or if you want us to be a backup, we will absolutely take the animals, if something happens to you, and make sure that they're not in the shelter and they do get into a home. So that's one thing that we do offer if you're supporting the Little Red Dog through your legacy.
I love that. I'm a huge fan of when animal welfare organizations rise up to the occasion in terms of saying, beyond your lifetime, we're still here to support you and your animals.
Yeah, for me, it's just that we've seen so many animals end up in the shelter, and I know if that happened to me, I would be devastated, even dead. I would be devastated to know
Yeah.
that my dogs are in a shelter. Like that would just be the worst thing ever. So what are some of the other ways that you can give? I know that you have this graphic up here. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so beyond a will, there's a multitude of ways that you can have an impact on an organization, whether that's through gifts of stock, donor advised funds, donating crypto, beneficiary designations, and qualified charitable distributions. And I'll touch on a few. One of the simplest ones to really have a great impact on an organization is a beneficiary designation. It could take all of 30 seconds to 5 minutes to go into one of your investment accounts or your bank accounts or an insurance policy and change a beneficiary to be towards an organization that you care about. These are typically non-probate assets. So upon death, and not to, continue to bring death into the fold, but if you were to pass, these immediately distribute or they liquidate and then they'll get distributed out. The other one that I'm a big proponent of, especially since this year, I believe the forecasting around the amount of charitable gifts coming from IRAs is going to be over $10 billion, is giving gifts through qualified charitable distributions. This has become increasingly popular with folks, the baby boomer generation going 70 years and beyond. When you hit that required minimum age of distribution, you have to take funds out of your account. What you can do to lower your taxable burden is you can give through a qualified charitable distribution. So the beauty of this gift is actually the organization is seeing the impact now. So a lot of times I tell folks you can double this impact or you can maximize your impact by doing a qualified charitable distribution. So you can see your investment today, how that organization's using it, and then listing that organization as a portion or a full beneficiary of that retirement account. So those two can work really nicely hand in hand.
No, I think that we've seen a lot more of that come through with the qualified distribution. I can't talk. What you said. We've seen a lot of that, and I think
It's a tongue twister.
it is because people get to reduce their tax burden because who wants to pay more taxes, And I think if you don't
Right.
realize that, you end up with this huge tax bill in April and you're like, what the hell happened? So luckily we are seeing a lot of that, which is nice. And you mentioned the boomers. I mean, the boomers it's a big generation from 1946 to 1964.
Yep.
They're the wealthiest cohort that we have so far. So I think that's something that it's really nice as a benefit that's a lot of nonprofits and the causes that people care about are really benefiting from that. So it's really nice. But
And who doesn't want to see their investment making an impact today? I look at donations as investments into a mission, not just, hey, I'm handing you money and do whatever. I look at it just like as if I were putting money into the stock market. How are you growing your mission? How is this succeeding? It makes me want to put more money in when I see that progressing. So it's a really powerful instrument. I love seeing folks leverage QCDs, and I love seeing nonprofits also thinking of things of how do we maximize donor impact? Because a lot of times as nonprofit fundraisers, we get caught in the moment of thinking in fundraising buckets. We'll say, this is for grants, this is a capital campaign, this is individual giving, this is major and planned giving. A donor isn't going, I want to give into this bucket or I wanted to give into that bucket. They're saying, here's funds that I want you to put towards your mission. How can I do more? Is it showing up and volunteering at an event? Is it you coaching me on, hey, did you know about beneficiary designations? Or did you know you can leave a gift in your will? So there's different things that we can level folks up where, again, they can maximize that impact. They can feel more connected to the mission, but maybe not necessarily have to reach into their pocket more on that given day. Diversifying those giving opportunities is key.
I really like that thought or the aspect that you said that it's, a donation is an investment into the organization because, it absolutely is. That is how we grow it for us. It is how we rescue more dogs. It is how we provide the best care for the animals in our rescues. So I really like the idea. That's a great one. I'm gonna rip that off.
I see a lot of folks, and one of my favorite marketing slogans, and you all may have used this, but not all heroes give today, some give tomorrow. And that's a really important thing with plan giving is you're just as important as an individual donor today as your gift is for tomorrow, and you can become that hero. And we've seen people frame it in that way. And perception is really big with plan giving. It's such an emotional gift, as is every type of gift. But you're thinking what goes beyond your lifetime. So framing those things too, whether it's here's how you maximize your impact or becoming a hero tomorrow, those are critical elements that can resonate with a donor that shifts the mindset and perception of how they're investing into your mission.
I would like to point out to people who are interested in starting their will, they can go to our website, www.littlereddog.org, and then the link can be found under donate and then planned giving. And that will take you to the page to start your will, learn more about ways to give. There's a lot of information there. And it will take you directly to Spencer's website where you can get going.
This is why Christine's here. She always brings it back to like, what do you need to do? I'm sorry, Christine.
No, I was just going to say, having gone through it myself, it was a really easy process, and it felt great to get started on this and put that piece out of my mind of what's going to happen. I mean, we could all die tomorrow. We could walk out the door. I could die today. So I want to be
We don't want to
prepared.
think about that, but yeah.
No, of course not. But
And I'd say that, Christine gave you the website. I'd say even if you don't want to make it today, or you don't know if you want to make it today or whatever day, go on there anyway. Spencer's got a great, he's got some FAQs. He's got a lot of information there.
Yeah.
So I think it could actually help educate you, and then you could decide whether you want to do it or not. And that's, it's purely up to you, and it is free. So.
And do share with friends and family. This is important for everybody.
Yeah, that's right. Everybody should make
spot on. Spot on. Make it an open discussion with your family, and like we were saying, it's not as scary as what you think. There's a lot of misconceptions around estate planning, but as I alluded to earlier, this is, if not one of the most important documents you can have in place for your life. So the fact that donors, supporters, anybody who's visiting the Little Red Dogs website has free access to the most important document that you could put together. Take advantage of that. There's only good things that come from having a plan in place. So I couldn't recommend doing this more.
Well, thank you, Spencer, for being here. It's always good to talk to you. You had a lot of great information. I hope that it really helps everybody make their decision. But thanks for being in our studio.
Absolutely. Always a pleasure. Love getting to hang out with both of you. Next time I'd like to be in the same room and we could be petting dogs doing the podcast.
Sounds good.
We
We'll
would
do
love that.
Take it easy, everyone.
Have a great weekend. Take care.
Bye.
So this is good news of the week. Remember Marshmallow? We rescued her and her two pups from not a great place. And there she is. She's so freaking cute. Really good dog. So she got adopted last week. We're very excited. The little American bully that she is. And there's her family and her new sister. And apparently everything's going well, right, Christine?
Everything's going great. They say she is the easiest dog they've ever had from all the dogs that they've adopted, fostered. She's just blended right in so easily.
So that's why she got adopted. Like the dogs that come to my house are not the easiest dogs. So I get those dogs and I've never gotten the easiest dog, but that's good. I'm glad. Marshmallow is a very sweet girl and she deserved to have a great home, and she does. These people were very nice, and Nina, her sister, is adorable. So.
And it's very rare
Yay.
that mom gets adopted. I mean, Woody, one of the puppies got adopted. One of them is still with us and hopefully going to be adopted soon. But it's very rare that mom is always last to get adopted. So it just goes to show how amazing she was. And these people drove 5 hours to meet her, knowing that if it's
one way, right?
Yeah, one way, knowing that if it wasn't a fit, they were going to drive home without Marshmallow. But, thankfully everything went great. Dogs got along good. And they took the journey back home.
Happy life, Miss Marshmallow. You deserve it. She went through a lot. Luckily, she's spayed, no more puppies. So just going to be babied herself. So
Yes.
that was our good news of the week. You've heard us talk about this for a couple weeks. We have launched our online training on Patreon. Any of the membership tiers right now, currently, even the one for $10 a month, you have access to the 25-day challenge. It takes like a couple minutes a day. You can go along with it. You get badges. You can share your progress on social media. It's really cool. Share it with your friends. Please go to our Patreon and there's Belly and sign up. It's a fun thing. It's a quick, it's easy to get on and it's a fun thing. And it's not like you're doing an hour a day. It's like seriously like 5 minutes a day or less. So get on there. And we have a few people who signed up, so we'd like to see that sign up. A few more sign up.
We're ending today with a plea. So Dudley has been with us for a year and 4 months already. He's a very special dog. He's blind. He's deaf. He doesn't have any teeth, and he is the sweetest dog ever. He's very happy. He navigates the world with a little help, from his humans and from his canine friends, but he loves adventures. He takes cues by touch. He recently went to a temporary foster home while his fosters were traveling, and she said he was literally one of the easiest foster dogs she's ever had, even though it was just temporary. He's lovable. He's a great dog. We did a DNA test on him. He's 100% kind of Corso, which kind of surprised a lot of people, but Dudley's going to be losing his current foster at the end of September, so we're putting out the plea now to please fill out a foster application for Dudley. We would love even more to have him adopted. He's ready for a home. He's deserving of a home, and we just need to get him that home, or at least get him a new foster by the end of September.
Once Dudley meets you, he loves everybody, so I know he's going to love you. Once Dudley meets you, he knows you, and so he constantly will, he'll smell you when you're there. He's just adorable. He's also lived with four little kids, under 10 years old, cats, two dogs. So he
Tortoises.
tortoises. I forgot about the tortoises. I love those tortoises. So he really gets along with everybody. They do have a pool. Once he's learned where the pool was, he hasn't fallen in there. But obviously, if you have a pool, we always say with any dog, don't leave the dog out there alone with the pool. But honestly, he's adapted to just about anything. He's a really good boy. So he's young. So he's going to have a long life. We just really want to see him in the best home. Go to thelittlereddog.org, click on forms, and you can either fill out a form to adopt him, which would be possum, or you can fill out a form to foster him, which would be also possum. Either way, because he's a great boy. And I think that's going to wrap it up for us today. Thanks for hanging in there. I know we went over a little longer, but I know Spencer had a lot of great information to share, and we're really happy to bring that to you. So definitely thank you for tuning in. For Christine, I'm PJ, and you are watching For the Love of Dog, and we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.